kind of help with getting to and from, right?
Yeah.
So traditionally, we are a group of people that utilize our spirituality to overcome. It's not by accident that our history lends to the story of overcoming, of perseverance, of ensuring that no matter the cost, we're going to do better. So along the years, we find that as a people, our spiritual natures and our belief that there is more to life than just what we see with our physical eyes has helped us. It's been a coping mechanism. So our faith, our religions have impacted how we deal with life. We think about Haiti and the dynamics of the family, right? Extended family was not far away. Extended family was nearby. So if we needed support during pregnancy, during illness, during the loss of a loved one, family was nearby. And family was not necessarily just blood. Family was anyone who was in our neighborhood. Those are the individuals who we leaned on for support. So over the years, we find that those have been what we call coping mechanisms, things that we utilize to function even in states of dysfunction. Haiti's history lends to the knowledge that one thing after another, if it isn't a political issue, it's a natural issue that has kind of disrupted our lives. But traditionally, family, our faith, has been what we've utilized to cope through some of the most difficult times in our country and our culture's history. So it's important to note that those are things that are necessary for all humanity. But then to understand that when there's a disruption, we need to understand that it will impact not just our community, but it impacts the body in terms of illnesses, and it also impacts our emotional wellness. So when we find that there is a disruption in life as we know it, we have to now recognize that this disruption now translates to ailment, and it also translates to mental imbalances. Talk to me about what are those things that have shifted and where are they now?
It is not just the Haitian community here in the States who has experienced systematic closures of their regular life.
So starting off to have my two girls in my office with me while I'm working and they're doing schoolwork, it wasn't a good thing at all. Not at all, not in the beginning. It's either I had to focus on with the mommy hat while I'm in the office or the professional hat. Okay. And being able to separate the two was really difficult.
Americans across the nation have and are still dealing with it. First came the closure of schools, reduced hours at work. Then came a complete shutdown of public spaces, managing distant learning and childcare while bills pile up.
There's tunnel vision about my girls in school and making sure that they're okay. That's what I'm focused on.
Okay.
So me having to separate the two was really difficult, having to be able to do that.
The pandemic, let's all put it out there. None of us have experienced this in our lifetime, and in any recent lifetimes. So there are none of us here that can say we are experts on what it is to go through a pandemic. However, as mental health professionals, we understand that a sudden disruption in life as we know it tends to cause the brain on a neurological level to now start to perceive that there is a form of danger. There's a danger that's present. And in our most basic form of response, we are either going to run, or we're going to fight, or we're going to remain frozen. Those are the three responses that come when the brain perceives that there's a form of danger. Now, truth be told, the pandemic has impacted our country. Over 100,000 people have died of this. Many more are hospitalized. This, in our minds, is a form of danger. And you find that initially people were running out to buy toilet paper. And now we laugh about that.
I went out and bought 3 stacks of toilet paper and I went out and made sure the house was stocked up. So I was more in that survival mode and like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, but I have to make sure.
And we try to question, well, why that? It's a survival mode. There's something that kicks in that says, I have to prepare myself, prepare my home for the unknown. And so that's what we've literally been doing since the beginning of March. And that's where we find ourselves. Whether it's as simple as buying up all the toilet paper in the world to now trying to figure out, how's my household going to function? I have to bring all my work to home. My children are now at home. My spouse may also be at the home, or I might have invited older family members to live with me, because now we're going back to our cultural norms, right? We're bringing in our parents who might have lived elsewhere, but for the sake of what the unknown, we literally gather. And so what I've been hearing around our community is, oh yeah, my cousin came to stay with me, or my cousin and her kids, because they didn't want to be alone. And so we found that we started to create our community in our homes.
There are many experts who worry about a wave of mental health issues arriving post-pandemic if and when a vaccine is found.
What concerns me beyond the immediacy of the pandemic is the aftermath. We see the physical issues that are coming about. We know the hospitals that were filled. We've listened to the press releases. Now it's what's going to happen when all of the press and the media recedes and we're left holding all of this anxiousness. We're left holding all of the things that came out the Pandora box during the pandemic. You know, being in a home with people that you may or may not have been too keen on being home with does bring up some other things. If you are in a household where generational trauma has been your experience, being in that home for 2 months is not to be taken lightly. There are definitely things that might have come out that you would have rather have kept suppressed. Or there might have been things just beginning to show itself and now it's full blown. Or there are things that, let's say, that you never knew about. There are couples that are just discovering who they are in terms of themselves as individuals and as a collective. The pandemic is going to leave behind both a problem and an opportunity. The problem is there are going to be individuals who have and will continue to experience serious mental health concerns in the form of depression, anxiety, substance use, and abuse. And then there's an opportunity to now say, okay, now that these individuals have come forward to say, look, we are not okay. Is our society, is this country prepared to deal with that? And as a mental health professional, I'm here to say I am hopeful, but if it's to be the way it is currently, that is not necessarily going to be helpful. We have a system that doesn't necessarily lends itself to being sympathetic to mental health concerns. We're barely trying to get health care as it is for what we need to do on the day-to-day, just to go to the doctor, just to be able to advocate for basic health care. Now you're asking us to trust a system that may or may not necessarily be keen on trying to heal the things that are unseen. And mental health are those things that are initially unseen, but they will show up. They will show up in the form of anxiety. They will show up in the form of depression. They will show up in people not coming to work on time or people clocking out. They will show up in people being very dismissive. They will show up in how even now we see that domestic violence has naturally gone on the rise. Child abuse has naturally gone on the rise. Why? Because there are issues in our community, in our society that have been gone unaddressed long enough.